kinds, from Raja Ravi Verma's luminous portraits evoking royal grace to Jamini Roy's folk-inspired simplicity that once captivated me when I visited a gallery quietly in Kolkata. I recall wandering through a bustling Delhi market many years ago, stumbling upon an M.F. Hussain painting, a bold horse galloping across fiery reds. And it stirred something deep, reminding me how art captures India's untamed spirit amid chaos, but with a full method to the madness. When you see contemporaries like Bharti Kher's bindi-encrusted installations, or Jogen Chaudhary's textured abstractions, alongside vibrant Gond folk art, it reaffirms our openness on art's role as a beacon of hope, of peace, beauty, and inclusivity. As we unveil this Art of India 2026, let us and let it inspire unity. In Rabindranath Tagore's words, beauty is truth's smile. May this visual feast ignite hope and harmony in all of us. Art is the only profession where imagination is capital, where courage is currency, and time is the only judge that never retires. Artists are society's first dissenters. They question long before parliaments do, and they provoke long after governments change. If markets run on profit and politics on power, art runs uniquely on truth with beauty as its disguise. Stakeholders in art, artists, collectors, curators, galleries, are all co-authors of a civilizational manuscript written without footnotes, but with enduring impact. Art exhibitions are among the rare spaces where ideology checks out at the door, but interpretation walks in freely. Coming from the legal field, I can say how courts, like galleries, are also theatres. Theatres where silence can be louder than argument and a single line can change history. It always makes me wonder how some of the most powerful constitutional ideas, liberty, dignity, equality, were first expressed not in judgments, but in poetry, in murals, in songs, in paintings, in theatre. Lawyers argue about meaning, while artists revel in ambiguity, and yet both thrive on interpretation. Many of India's freedom era artists were also constitutional thinkers in spirit, imagining India before lawyers legally drafted it. Folk art traditions are among the earliest examples of decentralized storytelling, long before social media of today discovered that term. Across civilizations, art has outlived kings, courts, empires, and sometimes even religions, making it history's most stubborn survivor. The most enduring art often emerges not from abundance, but from constraint and constriction, political, social, or personal, as the case may be. I do believe that a nation is ultimately judged not only by its GDP or its military strength, but by the freedom it gives its artists to imagine, to critique, and even to create discomfort. Art is soft power in its purest form, unarmed, unapologetic, and universally legible. India's artistic conundrum and continuum from folk to contemporary is not a contradiction. It is a conversation across centuries. Especially in polarized times, art performs a constitutional function. It keeps pluralism alive without needing a vote. The Constitution protects free speech, but art often tests its emotional limits well before courts test its legal limits. Like judgments, Great artworks are often misunderstood initially and then later vindicated by time. Courts interpret texts while artists interpret life, but both are engaged in the search of meaning, of context and of balance. The rule of law and the freedom of art share one common enemy: fear. Lawyers look for precedents and artists create them and incidentally charge far more for it. In courts we argue about original intent. That's a legal doctrine well established. In art, originality is the intent. If every lawyer painted and every artist argued, I just thought of it. Imagine a world where every lawyer painted and every artist argued. The world would be far noisier, but certainly perhaps far more honest. As a lawyer, I admire art because it convinces without footnotes and sometimes without logic. Lawyers like me take comfort that even the Constitution needed artists to look truly complete. We've forgotten the illustrations in our Constitution. If illustrations could civilize law, perhaps art can civilize public discourse too. And Delhi, where this is organized, I believe, for the third time. Delhi is not merely a city. It is a palimpsest. Every era writes over the previous one and yet never fully erases it. That is why art feels at home here. Delhi has always been a custodian. Our very own 7 or 8 cities are nothing but a custodian of layered expression, not a single narrative. Delhi understands art instinctively because it has survived conquest, debate, dissent, diplomacy, and still finds time to create beauty. If India argues, negotiates and governs in Delhi, it also to a large extent imagines itself here. Kudos to the Times of India. They've done something rare. They've treated art not as a weekend indulgence, but as a national conversation. The art of India has become more than an exhibition. It is now an archive of evolving Indian imagination. By bringing masters, contemporaries, folk traditions together, this platform refuses to rank hierarchically, much like India refuses, or at least should refuse, to rank its citizens. Media often chronicles events, here it curates legacy. Our Constitution, incidentally, is not only one of the longest in the world, most detailed in the world, it is also among the most visually poetic, with 22 illustrations. The 22 illustrations adorning the original Constitution, crafted under the vision of Nandlal Bose and his team, do something remarkable. They humanize law. These illustrations remind us that constitutional values did not emerge overnight in 1950 or from 47 to 50, but flowed from millennia of civilizational thought, from the Indus Valley to the freedom struggle. Each illustration is a visual footnote telling us that liberty, justice and equality are not imported concepts, but deeply indigenous ideas. Just as these artworks soften the austerity of the legal text, which follows, art today continues to give soul to structure and emotion to institutions. In that sense, the Constitution may be our supreme legal document, it certainly is, but it is also quietly and sensitively one of India's greatest art books. From the illustrated pages of our Constitution to the living canvases displayed here and in this wonderful book, India's story has always been written in both words and in images. The art of India is therefore not merely an exhibition. It is a reminder that India's greatest argument to the world has always been cultural confidence, never cultural uniformity. Thank you.